Love this song. Welcome to the final part of Mega Man 7. We've got 2 stages left.
And this is the final part?
Yep.
Why don't we ever go to the top of the tower?
I don't know. It's all like the skull marking's always at the very bottom.
I always knew Wily was a basement dweller.
Or in certain cases, the last skull always shows up outside of the castle because you have to go underground.
Finally, I used for Rush Spring. Oh, never mind.
Rush Master. Yeah, I will admit that this is the one Mega Man game where I don't ever use Rush Coil. It's like the only time I ever use it is in Cloudman stage to get to talk to Proto Man. Afterwards, I never use Rush Coil again.
Wow, Rush got demoted to being super armor wear.
Well, when you make the super adapter the most powerful thing you have in this game,
He became
Rush.
super armor whore.
Blame Capcom for making it super useful in this game.
Super useful, my ass.
It's more useful than the Proto Shield.
Alright, I'll give you that one. Nothing is more useless than
Also-
Proto Man's shield.
Fuck you, Rock.
Sabotage my game, will you?
Look, Blues. I'll promise you, you'll be in one of my main games. When? 2010.
Too long.
Deal.
Too long.
Like 2010. What looks at the calendar? 1997. Fuck you, Rock.
This is the calendar. 97. Oh, that sneaky bitch.
Like, fine. In 13 years, I better be awesome. You take double damage. Fuck you!
But you get to do all the stuff I can do in Mega Man 2.
In Mega Man 3. like, I know I screwed you over with the double damage thing, but you can slide and but I'll give you my slide and charge shot.
That's it.
And then when the Mega Man 11 comes out, oh.
And then when Mega Man 11 comes out, I'll give you that. We'll think of something.
I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, we'll think of something.
Anyways, this is by far the hardest stage in the game. That's not really saying much, except
You
for when that
died
happens.
in the Wily stage.
That never usually
You
happens.
died in
but
you died in the
whatever.
Wily
Mistakes can
stage.
happen.
You wasn't even at a boss.
Oh, shut
No,
up.
we weren't even at a boss.
I'll blame the freaking jet thing, because normally that doesn't happen to me when I make
Why would
that
you even
jump.
go the upper path anyway? Why would you even go the upper path? You never want to go the upper path. It's a trap.
No, the other path is actually... Usually... One, that's not the split pathway yet.
I know that, but I'm just saying the upper path always screws me over. That's why I never go that way.
Yeah. That's fine. Like, that normally doesn't happen. I'll blame the recording curse on that, because I am always able to make that jump.
Just remember, folks, if you suck at a game, it's a recording course.
Hey, I've beaten this game more times than I can count, and I have never died there before. I'm not gonna say that I didn't make a mistake. It was clearly my fault.
It was clearly my
but
fault for taking the wrong path.
It's the only path I could take at the time.
That line's not there
watch.
anymore. Just keep going.
You're thinking of what happens after that part.
Excuse me.
There is a split path in this level, but I wasn't there yet.
This is pretty much typical anymore.
Huh?
I said it's pretty much typical anymore.
Yeah, I guess. There, see?
I was saying, don't
thinking
go
of
the
this-
upper path. It's just,
Well, it's actually safer to go this, because if you take the lower jet there, it's much harder to get across. See, that's what I was trying to do. Here's the part you were thinking of. This is the split path. And I always take the upper path because it's a lot easier than taking the lower path.
Well, some ways won.
But I'm going to try doing the lower path.
Dead.
Normally I don't show it up. That's why I don't take the lower path. Because you have a much harder version of the Bubble Man spike drop.
I never have any issues going down that way.
Yeah. Thankfully, right at the split pathway is where the checkpoint is, so if I had actually made that jump the first time, like I was supposed to, then it wouldn't have been an issue. But I always take the upper path because it's so much easier.
Yeah, I never really bothered going the upper path, honestly.
I mean, it's not that I can't take the lower path, it's just more frustrating to do it that way. Hey, look! Reappearing block segments.
Nope.
Fuck you. Go, Rush!
And then there's a block that appears in front of you, pushes you off.
It's pretty much the same.
Look, it's like, look, they put all that
pattern
stuff there. It's like, here, we're sorry. We know you were going to do it anyway.
Yeah, and that's why I decided to screw it. I'm just going to use... This is the only time in the game where you can actually get a special tank. Although, there might be a stage where you can use the Rush Search to get a special tank, but I don't remember what stage that is, if there even is one. As far as I know, this is the only stage in the game that has a special tank.
Stegosaurus!
There wasn't actually a Stegosaurus in Power Rangers, unfortunately.
Nah, I wasn't referencing that, but okay.
Ow. The way you shouted it made it sound like you were doing a Power
No,
Rangers
I'm just
transformation. If you take the lower pathway, you can get that energy tank, but taking the upper path gets you an energy tank, a weapon tank, and a special tank, so... That's really the main reason why I always take the upper path. I can do the lower path with the spike drops, that's just... You drop way too fast in this game compared to the NES.
This guy isn't hard, he's just annoying.
Yeah, you can actually jump on those missiles, it's just really hard to do it sometimes. Also, the fact that this stage is constantly scrolling to the right, it makes... If you stand still, you're constantly pushed towards the guy. And his weakness is the slash claw, if you just punch him in the face over and over again.
In the face. Face punch. Look at that, right in the face. Look at that.
And I recently figured out what the kanji on his cannons are supposed to be, because I rewatched the Brain Scratch run of this. The kanji is apparently it's certain death or something like that.
Yeah, certain death of this thing. Boom, dead.
I don't know what Wily was thinking when he created this thing. It's also another one of those rooms where like it suddenly just keeps scrolling to the right and everything behind you, like in Mega Man, like the Met machine in Mega Man 6 that just had that constantly scrolling stage. Except this time it makes sense because in Mega Man 6 that Met came from the right when you entered the room from the left.
I'm just it's like, why did I make that robot? Oh yeah, I was high. We did a lot of me and Light did a lot of drugs that night.
Anyway, we're on to the final stage. So this is your last chance to buy any last bits of energy tanks, extra lives, whatever. Because unless you're... I'm not going to say that the final stage is easy, because it's still challenging. It's still by far the most difficult Wily fight in the entire series. That doesn't make it... And let me rephrase it, just because it's the hardest one doesn't mean it's hard. It's just, compared to the other 6 fights, it's actually a challenge.
Don't be greedy, Mega Man. We're only trying to help you.
Don't be greedy, Mega Man. You can only hold 1 special tank. Why?
I don't know.
Why can't I hold 9? Why can't I just replace my 4 energy tanks and weapon tanks with special tanks?
The grocery stores don't let you do that.
Damn right he could.
No, I'm saying grocery stores don't let you do it.
Hell, the Ruby Spears Mega Man could do that.
I like to imagine this starting stage being like, "We're sorry."
Anyway, we got Boss Rush, and just like usual, whenever there's a Boss Rush, and I thank Brain Scratch and Clement for giving me the idea to do this, is just speeding up, and I have music playing in the background.
Why not?
Because you don't want to...
No, I was saying
one
sarcastically,
wants to watch me
why not?
fight the same bosses again.
I say sarcastically, why not?
No, I know you were saying that sarcastically. I'm just saying nobody wants to rewatch the same 8 bosses again. Although watching this in sped up is just really sad. It's like rewatching. Like, this is what all the Mega Man X speed-ups are going to look like, too. It's like, slide to the left, slide to the right, slide to the left,
crisscross,
slide to the right.
bam, bam.
Everyone makes fun of Mega Man X3 for doing that. Every Mega Man X game had boss patterns like that, people. Not just X3.
Yeah. Left, right.
Anyway, sorry.
Left, right. Left, right.
Sorry, Luigi. I know that's kind of boring to watch this right now.
Blah, I'm the bat again. Oh god, springs.
Aw, damn it. Wily, why did you not reprogram us to not have weaknesses?
He's pressed for time.
God damn it. You technically programmed Base to not have weaknesses, aside from the super adapter.
Base threatened me with his gun, okay?
God damn it.
Refill everything.
Anyway, I am recharging on Thunderbolt because that is Wily's weakness for the first phase. And if you don't want to use the super adapter for the second phase, he's weak to Wild Coil, so... Say hello to probably the hardest Wily machine in the series so far.
He jokes.
Again, being difficult, saying that doesn't necessarily make it hard. I'm just saying in comparison to Mega Man 1 through 6.
Don't you?
Especially 6.
Not the face, please. No, not the face!
Ugh! You know, Wily, this whole thing would have... You know, Wily, if you had never opened that cockpit, I would never be able to beat you right now. You know, in hindsight, if you had just thought of that... Also, I know there's some weird glitch you can do with this that prevents Wily from making those mini Wily machines. You can get him into a loop where he keeps doing this jump over and over again, but I don't know how to do it.
Ah.
It just makes it go a lot faster, and you don't have to deal with these stupid things.
You know, if Wily has a cockpit open, does that mean he himself is getting shocked?
Probably. I mean, that's why he's constantly got like a I'm hurt face every time you're shooting him.
Wouldn't that mean Mega Man is physically hurting a person?
I don't know. Has he been physically hurting him the other 6 times he's been blowing up his machines that he's inside?
No, not really.
I don't know. He's always in his UFO whenever it explodes.
From my knowledge, he never actually hit. He never actually got. He was always in the cockpit part.
No, I mean, technically that's a cockpit too. It's a window. Probably just like a minor electric shock. Anyway, say hello to the most difficult Wily capsule in the entire series.
This boss theme never gets old.
No, I love this boss theme. Now, there are a couple of different ways you can do this. The easiest way is to use the super adapter because the rocket punch will hit him no matter where he is. If you shoot him with the Thunderbolt, you can make him not use his orb attacks, which is by far the hardest things to dodge. Or if you charge the Wild Coil and hold up, the Wild Coil can damage him. Using the Wild Coil is usually the safest way to fight him because you can still slide this way.
I'm just gonna hum the boss in the entire time.
Well, considering this boss battle is going to be going on for quite a while, Luigi, what's your preferred strategy for fighting Wily Capsule 7?
Never use the super capsule. Or, not the super capsule,
Don't use the super adapter?
Don't use the super adapter, you're just a walking target.
The only reason I use the super adapter is because
you're barely doing anything.
You only do 1 point of damage with the Wild Coil as well, so what's
you have
the
to hit him from the top.
At least
you have to
hit
him from the top in order to do big damage.
I mean, everything that can damage Wily only does 1 point of damage anyway, so why not use the weapon that doesn't use up energy when you're fighting him?
What I was trying to say was, the super adapter I think makes you a walking target. So I just when he's using these orbs, there's like one frame where the orbs are actually targeting you. So I always there. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like, the instance they do that, if you slide, it makes your hitbox smaller. So they'll just aim for the floor instead. At least that's what I find.
Yeah, you got a good point. Typically, as long as you're standing underneath the capsule, you'll be able to dodge his orb attacks every time because of the way they move.
Yeah.
In fact, considering Mega Man 9's Wily capsule is pretty much a remake of this one, that's pretty much the only way you can dodge half of his attacks, is just by standing directly underneath him and jumping. I never really knew for the longest time that Thunderbolt could actually disable his orb attacks.
You don't actually do any damage to him now, that's the thing.
No, but you don't do any damage, but it's at least safer, because then you don't have to worry about dodging him.
But you're
And I'm just getting lucky now that he's appearing above me, so I have plenty of time to dodge his attacks. Because really, as long as you can stand directly underneath his capsule, you're never going to get hit. The only other downside is, as I mentioned, I'm already out of things to talk about. This is a really slow and tedious boss battle.
Yeah. I think I'd also be using Wild Coil at this point.
I probably would too, but based on where he's standing, it's just safer to just use the Super Adapter.
Nah, I just spam Super Adapter until he dies. Or with me, I spam the Wild
Coil until he dies.
That's what I was trying to say. I keep getting them mixed up for some reason.
That's okay. The other non-special weapon is you can just use a Charged Mega Buster, but considering like 90% of the battle he's too high up for you to hit with the Mega Buster, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Like, that would be the only time you can actually hit him with them. The other problem is, like, once you hit him one time with any weakness, that's the only chance you have to hit him. That's the other reason why this takes so long. Everything you do that damages him only does 1 pixel of damage.
No, dude.
You usually only have one shot.
Next shot should be next shot should come from the Mega Buster. Humiliate him.
I should, but fuck it.
Humiliate. Oh, come on, you buzzkill.
I couldn't reach him from up there anyway. Not without the Super Adapter or the.
You
string.
totally could.
Oh well.
Yeah.
There we go. I beat Wily with only having to use 1 E-Tank. Usually I don't have to use an E-Tank, but he was being kind of dickish.
Oh yeah, I remember this ending.
I gonna do what I should have done years ago.
I gonna have grammar.
You'd think the Anniversary Collection would have fixed that at it.
Nope. Robots cannot harm humans. And this is the part where they had ellipses originally.
Yeah. In the original version, the reason why Mega Man is angry is because he does want to kill Wily, but after he reminds him that he can't, he's like, fuck.
He's like, well, I'll just let your fortress do it for me.
Like, ugh. Like, damn it, Wily! Like, Light, this is the 7th time, but you had to program me to be good.
Why does he inch over?
I don't know.
He's like, look at my fancy leg dance. I'm gonna dance on your grave.
Look at me dancing on Wily's grave. Come on, everyone, do the Mega Man. Boom.
He who hesitates is lost, says you.
He who hesitates, although, like, yeah, I mean, you have plenty of time, like, you know that the castle is exploding. You can kind of
do something about it!
Knock him out and leave him in the exploding castle. And then this is the one thing about the Anniversary Collection version that a lot of people don't like. For some reason, they took out the original Super Nintendo ending of Mega Man walking away from Wily's burning castle.
Fuck that place.
Apparently the reason behind that was, according to Capcom, was they had difficulty emulating the animation for it, so they just cut it out. Which is stupid, by the way. I don't see any...
Wait, they couldn't... If
you play this on a ROM, it emulates just fine.
Wait, they what? What was their excuse?
From what I heard, the animation that they originally had going for this ending of Mega Man walking away from Wily's castle, they said that they weren't able to emulate it on the Anniversary Collection disc for some reason.
Did they actually give a reason why? Or did they just say, "No, we couldn't do it"?
Their reason for it was they couldn't emulate it properly, so they just didn't put it in there. Instead, we got this version.
Natsu, help us!
Which is weird. I mean, it's not a huge deal. It's minorly disappointing because this is definitely a lot more bland than the Super Nintendo ending.
Yeah, I noticed one of the designers is named Cosmo.
Yeah. Anyways, final thoughts on Mega Man 7?
Ow.
Had to stretch. This is still one of my favorite Mega Man games. I mean, no, it's not hard, but in all honesty, it's not designed to be hard. That's kind of the point. So, it's kind of something you can just play and relax with. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, considering this game came out the same year as Mega Man X2, I mean, I think that's what a lot of people's gripe is with this game, is that it's not Mega Man X. And, my response to that is, yeah, it's not Mega Man X. You shouldn't expect it to be.
It's not X. Too bad.
I mean, I get why. But, yeah. And the other thing is, like, maybe if Mega Man 5 and 6 were also Super Nintendo instead of NES, people wouldn't have such a negative opinion on 7.
I didn't even know there was negative reaction to Mega Man 7, in all honesty.
Huh?
I said I didn't even know there was any negative reaction to 7.
I don't think there was as many as people think there is. I think the only people that, if there is any negativity, it's just the people that really don't like Mega Man 7 and just... The common
maybe they're like,
thing
maybe
that
they're
I
like one of
hear
those people
is
that are like, oh, it's gotta be 8-bit.
I don't think it's the 16-bit that people have problems with. I think the one complaint I hear the most about 7 is that the sprites are too big and it feels a little slower than the NES games. So it's kind of awkward.
How does it feel slower?
And I don't know, for some reason people seem to think it feels a little bit slower than the NES games. And I can kind of see that, especially when you're only using the Super Adapter and you can't slide anymore. But I don't know. I think this is great. I mean, they used a lot of it is nothing but throwbacks. I mean, half of the stages have... I mean, just look at Turbo Man's stage. The last half of that stage is completely ripped from Quick Man.
Hey, Quick Man, you don't mind if I borrow your stage, do you?
Well, just the fire bar things.
Alright, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
If it works any better for you than it does for me, you won't even matter. Anyway, if you see that number down there, that's actually a password you can use. And if you hold L and R when you do it, or if you're playing the Anniversary Collection that I'm doing, if you hold X and Y, you can go to a mini-game where you can play a game very similar to Street Fighter, but you're just Mega Man and Bass.
Ah, it burns! Okay.
But if you don't hold X and but if you don't do that, it just warps you. It's a password that warps you all the way to the end of the game with everything. You have all the items. You have max energy tanks, max weapon tanks, a super tank, and you start on the very last stage of the game. So if you don't feel like playing through the entire game,
Mega Man's fucking pissed.
Anyway, I will get to Mega Man 8 at some point. Muichi, thank you very much for joining me on this commentary.
Thank you for inviting me while I'm trying to figure out how this stupid mic works.
It sounds good to me, so I think you've got it figured out.
Hopefully.
I will be... Okay. As for me, I will get to Mega Man 8, 9, and 10 at some point. I might take a break from Mega Man after this, because I also just finished uploading Mega Man 6, so I might take a break from Mega Man in general.
He is mega out.
Well, I did just do 2 Mega Man games in a row, so. As for you, Luigi, do you have any plans for your channel?
Nope.
Damn it. Well, see you guys for my next Let's Play, whatever that is.